Jagamarra, jum jum. Jum jum, Jagamarra, jum jum. Jagamarra, jum jum. Jagamarra, jum jum. Jum jum, Jagamarra, jum jum. Jagamarra, jum jum. Jagamarra, jum jum.
Well, that was a song called Jagamarra, and it was recorded recently by my special guest this morning, Mahmood Khan. And I believe that was with the Willoughby Concert Orchestra. Is that correct, Mahmood?
Willoughby Symphony Orchestra.
Symphony Orchestra, that's right, yes, yeah, that's great. And what brought Jagamarra about?
Well, I met this crazy guy I was at my friend's Mike's house doing a little performance, and in the audience, just tucked away somewhere, it was this person, and he just kept looking at me. After the performance, I just went up to him and I said, "Hey, I'm Mahmood, and what's your name?" And he said, "Jagamarra." And then he started unfolding on me what he thought of my music.
Mm-hmm.
And the more he talked about it in detail, in depth, because he would go back like 100,000 years, 200,000 years.
Yeah.
He would talk about when there was no language, and he came from there, and he showed me some stuff that he had, some stones and things like that, and I was like, oh my God. So I started looking at Australia in a completely different way.
Mm-hmm.
Because I came here to do film school, to study film school.
Right.
I took time off music to study film. That's when the big YouTube revolution was coming.
Right.
And I thought I should educate myself. I have no formal training in music, so I thought maybe I'll train myself in films,
Mm-hmm.
So just by being here, and that whole concept of Australia turning over to when it was part of India, and this was all one land, and how they used to travel and stuff like that, just blew me away.
Yeah, now that's a nice little segue there when you mentioned India, because you actually were born in Pakistan, weren't you?
That's true.
To parents of who migrated from India.
Right. My mom was born in Delhi, and my dad was born in Punjab as well.
Right, yeah. So a long bike ride.
Yeah, that's crazy. We're all connected, aren't we?
That's right, yes. And I wish you a happy birthday for later on this month.
Oh, thank you very much.
I believe it is your birthday a little bit later on.
Well, it depends what month it is.
Well, we're in October at the moment, so I've got you down as the 30th of October. So
Okay, well that's my wife's.
That's your wife's, is it? Oh, right.
October is Shaq's birthday, but mine is August.
August,
Yes.
right? So there we go. You see, some of the information that you read on internet isn't necessarily right. I tried to do my research, and that's the way life goes.
Yeah.
Okay, now, originally from Pakistan, you went off to America.
Right.
To investigate
Music
over there, and you started your career in music as a sound engineer.
That's true. So the reason for going to America was that when I was little, I must have been 6, 7 years old. My aunt used to live in Switzerland, and she knew that I was musical. So she would send me her record collection, like she would buy records, vinyls, 45s, and she would send it to me in a village in Pakistan, right? And I had a collection of the world's greatest records from back then. But I didn't know who these people were. I had no connection to the media, so I didn't know how popular Roy Orbison was, or who Elvis Presley was, or who Paul Anka was, or who Johnny Cash was. But I had these records, and I had my own top 10 from those.
Yeah.
But what was really amazing about it was that I only liked the person, the songwriter who was singing the song. If it's written by somebody else, I would look at the back of the record. I'm not interested in it. The other common thing was that everything was recorded in Hollywood. Everything was California. So I'm like, I have to go to this place called Hollywood. You know,
The Mecca.
the Mecca of recording.
Yeah.
And as I came out of school, I convinced my dad to send me to America as long as I study engineering. That was the clause that he put on it. He wouldn't buy me the ticket or fund it. So I did that and I enrolled myself in an electrical engineering school in North Carolina. And I got there and I knew Tennessee was not too far, you know. LA was pretty far. So one day I just got in my car and drove to California and slept under the Capitol Records building for about four days in my car, loving it. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. You were there at Capitol Records, and that's the big time.
That's the big time.
At that stage, yeah. We're just going to take a little break here, Mahmood, and we'll come back because we do have to promote the jazz festival that's coming up here very shortly. So I'll be back to have a chat with you again very shortly.
Okay.
I've got my special guest in the studio this morning, Mahmood Khan, who is a singer-songwriter, and we were just talking about being a sound engineer in America, and I'd really like to ask Mahmood, as a singer-songwriter, who was your influence?
Paul Simon was a pretty big one on me. And James Taylor to an extent as well.
Right, yeah.
And Johnny Cash was huge. Kenny Rogers.
Right. Yeah.
Huge influence on me.
Yeah. So you're a little bit country. Little bit country.
Well, you know, the Shadows, Cliff Richard, the Shadows,
right.
And your Adelaide folks, the producers that were Adelaide people. Barry Gibb of the Beegees.
Yeah.
And most of all, producers like Arif Mardin, who used to be at Atlantic in the 70s, and he shaped a lot of the Atlantic sound, Chaka Khan and Phil Collins and things like that.
Yeah.
So huge Arif Mardin fan. And also Quincy Jones for all the work that Quincy has done for the music industry.
Yeah.
So things like that.
That's a very broad spectrum of
and of course
influence.
The Gypsy Kings, I'm sorry, Gypsy Kings as
Gypsy
well.
Kings, yeah. Bandoleo.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
That one. Yeah. Okay. Now, you actually had to me, sounds like a very big hit with your song "Like the River."
Like the River, yes.
Yeah, number one in the ARIA
Right.
pop charts, and I understand that your first solo album sold over 6 million copies.
That's true.
That's a hell of a lot of.
Well, I got
copies.
lucky. Yeah, I got lucky. Because
there's not 5,000 left in your garage, is there?
Probably more. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
But the numberings, yes. But I happened to work with a really brilliant artist named Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, who at the time was working with Peter Gabriel at the Peter Gabriel World Music Situation.
Peter Gabriel.
So I met Peter at that time as well, as I approached this artist to record some songs. And this is about 20 years ago. And he had been brought over to the US by Peter for a few days, but he wanted to stay longer. So the promoters had given him a very shady one-bedroom apartment. Terrible. And I went and met him and I said, "What are you doing here? You're such a great artist." And he was the promoter, you know, this is what he's doing, and he had all these comments. So I said, "Okay, let me take you to a better place." And at that time I had a friend in real estate, and he looked after Malibu. So he had a property that was on the water, like bam, on in Malibu. So I went to him and I said, "I got the world's greatest artist looking for a place." So he goes, "It's $6,000 a month." I said, "I don't have any money, but let me go get him though." So once I brought him in, he goes to the balcony and he goes, "Oh my God, I don't want to go anywhere else." So I said, "Okay, my treat. And as I was leaving, he goes, "I'll stay only on one condition, if you stay here with me." And I said, "Oh no, okay."
Yeah,
And
hard to take.
Yeah, you
Very
know.
hard to
And
take.
within a few hours, I had a 24-track recording studio in the living room. Because I was a sound engineer for
Yeah,
15
yeah.
years. And I bought all the Neve preamps. The microphone chain I had on him was like $30,000 of Manley compressors and, you know, the top of the line microphone, like an Elam with an old British tube on it that I sourced out, things like that. Very like a Rolls Royce sort of a situation. And I recorded this whole album while I lived with him. So for 8 months we just worked on this record, and right after the record was finished he passed away.
Oh, right.
So the record, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
went off
Yeah.
and sold
Okay.
all these copies and brought me to US radio and everything else.
Yeah.
So I got lucky for me, but unlucky for him.
That's right. Well, that's true. I'd just like to bring you back to your latest album,
Right.
if we could do, and that is entitled,
Made in Australia.
you tell me, that's right, Made in Australia, and it contains a song on there, One
Line Down. One Line
Yeah,
Down.
that's right. And Mahmood's actually got his guitar here, so we're going to have a live rendition of One Line Down.
So One Line Down, let me just explain
Sure.
quickly. So it's about finding a balance in life, because not everything is 100% all the time. You know,
Yeah.
there's always some one line down. So to be happy or to get by life, you kind of need to find a balance where you're happy with whatever you got.
Good
And
philosophy.
and be patient.
Yeah.
So then you'll be more happier. So this is the song about that.
Great. I'd like to hear it from you.
Okay, great. Even what's incorrect, write down easily. And so super profound, might just come around. Wind of change, maybe she isn't bound. Love is laying in a den, where fortune gets found. One line down, one line down, one line down, one line down. Faded words to a verse, where melodies are out between the sun and the loud. Distances up and down, miracles are near. When you hold my hand, vision it comes clear. When wisdom's grand, ooh, one line down, down, line down, line down. Ooh, one line down, down, line down, line down. Ooh, one line down, line down, line down, line down. Ooh, one line down, down, line down, line down. I do recall of a need to be able and free. Imaginations and its oceans, we sail in valleys of bliss, forest and bays. When you hold my hand, music and faith.